All right, if you missed Tuesday night's Race Chat Live, listen into why the RCL crew discussed having Kyle frickin' Busch.
No, I'm not saying for the next 10 years you're not going to struggle to find that perfect driver to fit in that car that will be okay with running to the number two, running number two to Kyle Busch. But by the time Kyle Busch's career is probably over with, I don't know if Kyle Busch has got 10 years left in him. He's probably more or less got 5 years left in him, considering the amount of money and Braxton being on the way. There's another name, man. Y'all, I swear to God, no show prep, and my mind is just clicking, y'all. Come on. Who thinks that that's a good idea? You got Keelan, you got Braxton. Let's put them both in the organization. Let's spend that $22 million you were going to get a third charter for. Let's make sure we invest that money into the future talent of RCR. That's the frame of mind Austin Dillon needs to have moving forward. I would like your thoughts.
Well,
let's start with you.
That's all fine and dandy. But as an organization, in the meantime, you still, yes, you need to stay one step ahead. And looking that far ahead isn't necessarily such a bad idea. But in the meantime, your company still needs to make some money. So you've also got to be present focused.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Austin Dillon can ride in that seat as long as he wants to, but let's spend the $22 million that it takes to get a third charter. Let's spend that on the future talent of the organization, because you have Kyle freaking Busch. You have the man of your organization. You'd only need a Mike Skinner now. And basically, shit, I would say Austin Dillon is the Mike Skinner, and he doesn't cost you a dime for the next 10 years. And in that same instance, he's moving forward on the operational side, learning how to eventually take the throne of his grandfather. This is a very interesting subject. I swear, there was no intent to really start it this way. But when you start looking at the complete story of Richard Childress Racing, one of the original and left-standing franchises of NASCAR, right? When we say franchise, we mean something, right? Even though NASCAR doesn't have franchise, this was the home stable of Dale Earnhardt Sr. There's a lot of rich history through Richard Childress. And I know a lot of people that were Dale Earnhardt fans, and I'm not going to lie, all I hear is, I can't believe this Kyle Busch thing. I cannot believe it. Like, I'm so fired up for Richard Childress. Like, that's what we are putting a fire ember back up underneath an organization that literally almost evaporated before our eyes. But in order to be around in 30 more years, you have to be smart about where you go from here. Honestly, a year ago, I don't think any of us would have thought for a million years Kyle Busch would go to Richard Childress Racing. We would have been like, yeah, Tyler Reddick may have just got a win, but, I'm just not really so sure that would be, a good safe landing spot for Kyle Busch. And now, of course, 1 year later, 3 wins in the book. We have a completely different story. Obviously, this is a chapter that has not been written yet. Taz, what are your thoughts so far?
Well, you mentioned Reddick and Kyle Busch in the same sentence. I kind of feel like Reddick and Kyle Busch as a team would be pretty dominant, even as a two-car team. I would love to see that. I mean, as I said in chat earlier, 6 wins amongst the two of them between last year and what we've seen so far this year. The only question would be, can Reddick and Kyle Busch put that 3-car that seems to be subpar at best and put it where the 2nd car is sitting? Because obviously the 8-car's got speed somewhere, more speed than the 3-car. And so the question is, does the 3-car really have the speed, or is it really the driver? And I would have loved to see Reddick and Kyle Busch stay, but the case now, and I don't think we'll be able to see that because, as you said, Chris, Kyle Busch may have like another 5 years, and depending on where Braxton is, he's running Bandoleros now, but who knows? We could be seeing Braxton running the Truck Series, or Kyle Busch has yet to run the Truck Series full time, and he does not have a Truck Series championship to his name. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Busch at some point in his career, before he fully retires, if he decides to run Truck Series with Brexton and try to run for a Truck Series championship.